Hi, everybody. My name is Judy Basso, and today I have with me my very dear friends and amazing coaches, Willie Carter, give us a wave, and Max Wellspring. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about this, just give you a little bit of a sneak peek about the retreat that we're going to be doing in November 1st through 4th in Victoria, BC, Canada. It's called Revive and Thrive Self-Nurturing Retreat, and treat spelled with a capital T, because that's how we really do things. We do them special and make you feel really, really good and come out with some amazing results. So we've had a few other videos that we've been doing. Max and I were on the last two, and today Willie is going to be joining me with the conversation. And Max and Willie are my co-facilitators and co-presenters for this retreat. So we'll all be together for these 4 days, and they're going to be sharing all their wealth of knowledge and insights, as well as myself, and to help people who are in a position of major transformation in their life, women especially. This is for women. And we want to help them to deal with these transformations in a way that's much more, make it happen much more easily and with grace, and change your way change your life in a way that makes it really peaceful, calm, fun, productive. Like, there are ways that you can really change things in your life, especially when you're going through these major transitions in your life. So I'm going to start off with Max a little bit. If you can just tell us a little bit about your take on synchronicity and how it affects our lives.
Well, hello everyone, and I think you're truly in for a treat today, because Willie is our resident expert on the whole idea of living by synchronicity. She's written a book about it, and she'll tell you more about that later. And it is one of my favorite topics, actually. I'm sorry I can't stay with you all, but I will, like other people here, be listening to it later. And the magic of living by synchronicity is something that I really encourage my clients to explore as a practice. When you're really training yourself to notice what you notice, and really see how life really brings to you the little clues, the whispers in your ears, the intuition that you get that really can make your life so much better. It begins to prove to you how life is on your side. So I'm excited for you to hear about this topic today. And I think you're just going to really enjoy the whole opening of this world that can make your life really magical and sustainable and workable.
That's wonderful, Max. Thank you so much. I know you have to run. I wish you could stay and join us, but thank you for joining us for the time that you could, and be sure to listen to it a little later on. So I want to thank you, and
I'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Enjoy, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Max.
Bye, Willie.
And now we have Willie here, who is Willie Carter, a very dear friend of mine. Both of these ladies have been just amazing friends and coaches, personal coaches of mine in the past. That's actually how we met. And Willie has written this amazing book called Signs, Signals, and Clues. It's so powerful and yet so simple. There's these things that are in our lives that we don't even realize that are there for us. And so, Willie, I'd love to have you chat a little bit more about some of your inspiration with that book and why you wrote it, and maybe some tips for people.
Sure. First of all, I want to let everyone know that Judy is the best noticing what you notice person that I know of. She really sees the clues all the time and has a special talent for noticing it. And so I would say—
most important things you taught me. Yeah.
I would say she's an expert in this field just from the practice of it. And I don't really consider myself a writer, but I felt called to write this book because the title showed up in a dream. And so I started writing it, and discipline is not one of my strong suits, so I didn't get very far with it. Then I ended up completing it as part of my master's in spiritual psychology program. And as I was writing it, I was having a lot of difficulty. I had about a week left, I think maybe 3 days before I had to submit it. And I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And all week, I'd been getting this name in my head, Anna. And I thought, what does this mean? And I didn't really know any Annas. I knew some Mary Annas, I knew some Anns. And I thought about all the people I knew with kind of that Anna name in their name, and I couldn't make any sense of it. And then I was on the ferry between Vancouver Island and Vancouver, and when I'm on water, I don't know, I seem to get more inspiration. And all of a sudden, I realized what Anna was. I was having difficulty putting the chapters of the book into a certain order, and Anna was ask, notice, and act. So it's the acronym for the order of what I had written in the book about the action to take and noticing what you notice. So when I got to Vancouver, I moved all the chapters around according to Anna, and everything fell into place. Because I'd been agonizing over this and I didn't know what to do. So I just let it go. And it was such a simple little clue. I didn't know what to tie it to. And that's the other thing. The ask is about asking a question. That's your key to the universe to get things rolling, because you won't recognize the answer if you don't know the question you've asked. Yeah. So my question,
simple, right?
Yeah, it's so simple. So my question had been, how do I get this book together so it feels good? And when the Anna came, the name Anna, and it took me a while to sort it out. And because I let it all go, when you're on water, you're kind of relaxed. Well, some people are, Judy.
Yeah.
Judy doesn't
Not me
like
so
being
much.
on water, but for
Not
me,
so much.
it's very relaxing. And that's when the answers came. And that's the other piece. You can't really work hard at noticing the clues. They'll come to you at the most unexpected times, like in the shower, while you're driving the car, doing dishes, when you're kind of let go, when you're not forcing things, that's kind of when the clues come.
You touched on the notice. One of the most powerful things that Willie taught me, as I was saying before, is notice what you're noticing. And really, it changed my life to be able to learn how to do that. And it's actually quite fun, because it's almost like a tap on your shoulder or something when you do a double take on something and you go, why am I noticing this? And it's really quite interesting. And then you'll see maybe some other things that will correlate to that as well. And so thank you for sharing that with me so many years ago. But it's something that has really made a big difference in helping me to see the clues that are right before me.
Yeah, and exactly. And you just took it on and ran with it. And I always love it when you call me up and share your latest synchronicity stories with me. It's so, like Judy said, it's so much fun. It's like living the mystery of life. You put out the question, you may not know how something's going to happen, and you don't need to know the how, but you do need to be present to see, to see the clues. And Judy and I might be going through the identical experience and notice totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it comes from. Why did I notice that and not that?
Mm-hmm.
And it boils down to things being a vibrational match to who you are. We're all energetic beings. We all send out signals. We all vibrate at a certain frequency. And so you're going to have the things appear into your life that are a match for you.
And the things that you're asking for, you wouldn't be necessarily asking for the same things that I'm asking for.
Exactly, yes.
So it's really important to ask a very specific question, right? So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, please.
Sure, yeah. What I've noticed in working with people on this, a lot of people are afraid to ask for what they want because they think it's not spiritual. They think it's coming from ego. But the only part of you that would wonder if it was coming from ego is the ego. So, you know, it's kind of a waste of, I think it's a waste of time to go in that direction. And so can you give me an example of something, Judy, that you might want to ask for? Let's give them an example.
Well, people who want to travel.
Yes.
Might want to go someplace special. I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, a few years ago, I was talking with Max actually, and she was saying, you know, what is something that you want to do and you want to achieve soon? And I said, I want to travel. And she says, well, why aren't you traveling? And I said, well, when I've got the time, I haven't got the money. And when I got the money, I haven't got the time. And I said, and I just keep saying that over and over again. And then I went, oh my God, that's what I'm saying over and over again. And that's what I'm declaring that I have. And that's exactly what I had constantly. Like it just was constantly that. So in that moment, I decided I now have the time and the money and the people who I want to travel with. And I just totally believed it. It was just like, that's it. And so I declared it and I asked for that and just said, this is something that I really want. And then I just let it go. And 6 weeks later, I was sitting in my dream city of Paris. You know how much I love it there. Yeah. And I sat at the base of the Eiffel Tower, and there's all these park benches that are around the Eiffel Tower, and there was one empty when I went there, and it was waiting for me. And I went there, and I sat there, and I looked up at the Eiffel Tower. It's so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And I just started crying. I was just so like, how did I do this? How did I do this? And you know what? It really didn't take me much to manifest that. It was just a matter of getting really clear on what I want, how I want it, asking for it, and letting go, and then receiving it. It just all fell into place so easily. Noticing that, oh, all of a sudden you're getting this extra money, and oh, all of a sudden this time period opened up, and noticing that you're seeing the Eiffel Tower all around you, all over the place.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so it was a huge thing for me to experience that. And so
sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, even though I know the story, I'm still getting goosebumps as you tell it, because the biggest thing, this always makes me want to cry a bit, the biggest piece that you did for yourself was you gave yourself permission. Mm-hmm. And that's often the piece that subconsciously people don't allow themselves to go for what they really want.
Yeah.
So you asked, you know, and then you notice things like the, you know, Eiffel Tower here, there, everywhere. And then you gave yourself permission to actually take the inspired action of actually going.
Yeah, and put all the pieces together to make the trip happen. Because I could have thought, oh, well, I've got a little extra money here. I'm going to put it away for something or whatever. But then I went, wait a minute, I got this trip that I want to do. And so it just all comes, you know, you got to be aware, put the pieces together too. Right?
And when you allowed yourself to do that, Judy, did it not give you so much?
You're frozen there for a second.
Frozen.
Okay, so can you say that again?
Yeah, you were too.
You allowed myself.
So I was saying when myself to have experience much joy.
Yeah. I really did. It was just the most magical time. It was wonderful. So what was that?
I was just going to say, and joy is the highest level of energy. And when you're in that place, it's much easier to attract everything else in your life. So by giving yourself that experience, allowing yourself to have it, you then created a platform to, you know, to jump off to other things in your life that would then, you know, get better and better.
Yep. And I just did that again just recently. I was feeling this kind of pull to want to go and visit my family in Italy. And it's been on my mind a lot this year. And 3 weeks ago, I just went, that's it. I'm going to Italy. I want to go. And I want to go see my family. And everything just fell into place. I'm leaving next week. And at the end of next week, I'm going to Italy. And it's just like, it pulls itself together and makes it happen. If you really want it to happen, the universe is on your side. It wants you to have.
Absolutely.
Have. One of the other things that we do, all of us, is that we follow the I don't know how to say the inspiration of Abraham Hicks. And for those of you who haven't, I'll show you this book. This is an amazing book by Esther Hicks, and I highly suggest that you take a look at this book and read it. And you'll find that there's a lot of very simple things in there that can help us in ways to change our life dramatically. And it talks a lot about these kinds of things as well, the synchronicity and how being open to receiving what you want is really important as well. Right, Willie?
Very, very important, yes. And I was wondering if I could share another story along the same lines, like noticing the clues.
Please do.
Yeah, I had, my husband and I have been living in Kamloops for many, many years, and I just had this massive urge to live by the ocean, which was about 4 hours away. And so we had decided we'd rent an apartment in Vancouver that we could. So I made a list. When I want something, I make a list of. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when
I want something, I make a list. Yeah, and we decided we'd rent a place in Vancouver. So I made a list of exactly what I was looking for. And then we were in Vancouver one weekend and we were looking. But prior to that, I kept seeing signs in my life, like you saw the Eiffel Tower and stuff. I kept seeing things about Nova Scotia. I would turn the TV on and there'd be something on about Nova Scotia. I'd open a magazine and there'd be an article about Nova Scotia. I'd be sitting in a restaurant and I'd hear people talking at the next table about Nova Scotia. And I thought, geez, because you don't always know what the clues are about. And I thought, are we taking a trip to Nova Scotia? Are we going to buy property there? I couldn't link it at all. So I kind of just let it go. Then my daughter and I were in Vancouver and we...
Oh, you're frozen again.
And everything was awful. Then I walked by this...
You froze there. So your daughter and you were in Vancouver.
Yeah, we went apartment hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went apartment hunting this one weekend, and everything we looked at was terrible. I was giving up. Walked by this one little 3-story apartment building. It had a sign out front, and the sign said everything that I wanted in an apartment. It had a little dining room, French doors, hardwood floors, all that stuff. So I phoned, and the place was taken. Well, I was devastated. So cried my heart out because I thought my dream was over. I was too attached to my dream. The next morning I got a call from the landlord and he said, the apartment you want to see, you can't get in, but he said you can come and look at my apartment. And they're all the same. So I went and had a look at it and I really liked it. And then he said, I just got notice that another couple...
You frozen?
Don't know when they're moving out. Could be several months.
No, just a second, you froze again there. So you just got notice that another couple
were moving out, but they didn't know when they'd be moving out. It would be in the next few months, and they were moving to Nova Scotia.
Wow.
So I then knew, even though I hadn't seen the apartment, that was the one. So yeah. I took it. It took 5 months before we could get it, but we weren't in a rush, and it was perfect.
Yeah, it was. It was a beautiful.
So, see, you don't always know. You'll notice things, but sometimes you have to collect the clues for a while. You won't always know what they're about.
Right, right.
But you will know eventually, and it'll just go click.
Yeah, and it all just kind of falls right into place, right?
And then you don't need to do all the pros and cons and needing evidence before you make a decision. Like you just know it's click because you've been paying attention early on.
Yeah. So how can you,
Don't need to the stage of being hit over the head by a friend.
sorry, lost you there again. You got to wait till you don't have to wait till the stage.
Till you're hit over the head by a fry pan.
Oh, yes.
If you're listening to the clues early on, you know, there's always, as Max said earlier, there's always whispers.
Right. There are.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Willie lives in sort of a remote area that sometimes there's a little bit of difficulty with the internet connection. So we hope that you just bear with us here with these little challenges. But
yeah, I apologize.
well, there's nothing you can do about it. We've tried to fix it, but the message is really important. So just stick with us here because it really is very powerful.
Thanks, Judy.
So Willie, how can people start to implement these things in their life?
That's a really good question, Judy. Everybody operates different, and so you know, it depends how you're built, but I would say just practice it like for 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. Just say, I'm going to spend this part of my day just noticing what's around me, and you start getting in the habit by one day you could say, I'm going to listen to the sounds around me. So you start noticing, you know, the hum of the fridge or the birds, you know, the birds singing that maybe you never noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Another day, or you might ask to look for certain things. You might set an intention one day to see how often you notice crows,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for example. And that just, there's a part of the brain called the reticular activator, and it's like your radar. And when you set an intention, that radar goes into effect. So if you've ever, you know, bought a car that you had your heart set on, let's say you wanted a red car.
Oh, you got
noticing all sports cars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you want?
Oh, I froze.
Yep. So you want a red car.
Yeah, let's say you're wanting a red car or a red sports car. All of a sudden, you'll start noticing all these red cars on the road, and you'll say, geez, I didn't know so many people had red cars. But it's because you've set the intention for that. Same when, let's say you're looking for a job. So you set the intention, you ask, get clear on what you want, ask for what you want. You may not know even what the job is or what it's called. You don't need to know that. You just need to know what you want to experience in your next experience. And then you set the intention that you're going to notice what you notice, to follow that path. And that, you know, switches on the reticular activator in the brain, and clues will start to happen.
It might be even kind of worthwhile to jot these things down, right?
Yeah.
If you can, like most people, a lot of people have their phones and they have a little memo thing on their phones. That's easy enough to do it. So that way you can start tracking these things.
That's a great idea, Judy.
And seeing what's conspiring to happen for you.
Yeah. So that's a great idea.
Start,
I love that.
You know, looking at the clues and
yes.
be a little bit of an investigator, going, oh, this is opening up, and that one's closing, and that's okay. What's going on here?
So Judy's just used one of my favorite words, which is investigating. I love exploring and investigating. So for me, it's a lot of fun to see, you know, where this trail is going.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is an exploration and investigation. But you have to stay out of trying to control it. You know,
that's a tough one for people.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, it might not be exactly how you think it should be for you, how the outcome is going to be. So you have to sort of let go of what the outcome is going to be, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, because it may show up in a totally unexpected way.
Like somebody going to Nova Scotia.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Which is on the other side of the country.
Yeah, exactly. It made no logical sense, but I just filed it, you know, back there. I knew it would show up somewhere. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about on this topic for now?
I find this one hugely important. Like you've asked the question, you're noticing the clues. What will happen is that you'll start getting these urges. It's another type of clue, and it's to take inspired action. And maybe Judy, you could tell your story about walking through the grocery store. You know the
Yeah,
story I mean?
yeah. Okay, I know the story.
It's a great story.
So this is when this was quite a few years ago, and we were talking about some things with my business, and we concluded that I needed an assistant. And Willie said, well, what kind of an assistant do you want? And I said, well, I want an assistant like the one I used to have at this other job. And she was just great. So she said, well, tell me about this person. So I told her all of these things about this person. She says, well, where is she now? And I said, I don't know. I've totally lost track of her. I don't know where she lives. I don't even know if she lives here anymore. Because it had been a few years, probably 5 years since I had seen her. And so we just kind of, I wrote down all the things that I really liked about working with this lady, and just kind of, that's it. That's all I did. I think, was it the day after, or the 2 days later, or something like that? Very short time afterwards.
I had said to you just because she popped into your mind as you were creating the description.
Yeah.
And so I said, just pay attention to your urges over the next few days and follow them.
Yeah.
Like if it's to go for an ice cream, go for an ice cream.
Right. So that day I felt the urge to go to Costco. And I was going through Costco and kind of, I guess I need a few things. And I went down this one aisle that I felt, it was like, should I go down this way or that way? And I went, no, I got to go this way. And as I was going down the aisle, this specific woman comes around the corner and her buggies almost hit each other. And I looked at her and I went, oh my God, it's you. And I'm just like ecstatic that I'm seeing her. And I'm sure she thought I was a little bit crazy because I was just overjoyed to see her. And as it turns out, she was looking for some part-time work, and she would have loved to work with me again. And so she ended up working with me again for several years, and then she moved away. But it was, I that day I went out into my car, and I'm phoning Willie from my car going, oh my gosh, you will not believe what just happened. And it was like, I still, when I think of that story, I'm just in awe, because
it's one of my favorite stories.
Not only did I get somebody like that person or had those qualities, I got that person, the specific person. And we both I didn't want somebody full-time. She wanted part-time, and flexibility, and everything that she wanted was what I wanted to offer. So it was just the most benevolent outcome for all involved.
Yes.
That's what I've learned to ask for. I mean, just last week I had another situation where I had a very kind of a little bit of a tense situation that I was dealing with, and I just asked for the most benevolent outcome for all involved, and the outcome was even better than I could possibly have dreamed. So these things really do happen, and they happen a lot if you allow them to.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Judy is a master at following her inclinations, and they often don't make sense.
Well, that's why I'm going to Italy.
Yeah.
I'm just being pulled to go there. And,
yeah.
It's just like, I've got to do this. I've got to go. So
I can't wait to see what happens.
But, and we also talk a little bit about the push and pull energy. So when you're being pushed to do something, it's a lot different than when you're being pulled to go to something. It's your soul kind of saying, okay, let's go in this direction. Let's kind of look at this in this way. So pay attention to that as well. Push versus pull energy. Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So unless you have anything else, Willie, to say today, we might just wrap this up.
God, there was one little thing, but it's escaped me now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. Hope this was beneficial for you. This is just a very small part of what we're going to be talking with people who are going to be coming to our Revive and Thrive Self-Nurturing Retreat in Victoria, BC, Canada. on November 1st to the 4th. We would really love to talk to you about this. If you feel inclined to find out more information, you can go to our website, judybassoretreats.com, and take a look on there. Send us an email and talk to us about some questions that you may have. We'd love to answer your questions, and maybe even sort of start engaging us in a conversation about what you have going on in your life. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And Willie, thank you very much. It was just great. It was always inspiring and joyful to listen to you. So thank you for that.
Always a pleasure, Judy.
Likewise. So thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day and think happy thoughts. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.